This episode brought to you by TAUMMHOMS, which is a natural sleep and sound healing portal helping people globally to get to sleep faster and stay asleep longer through TAUMMHOMS.com. That's www.TAUMMHOMS.com.
Welcome to My Right Stuff with your host, Grammy Award-winning record producer and inventor, Lord Toby Wright. With your co-host, Gareth Dyton, aka DJ Chunky. Here's Toby.
Hey, I'm Lord Toby Wright, and this is My Right Stuff News. Well, in music news, the nearer the fountain, more pure the stream flows. The second solo record from Blur Gorilla's founder Damon Albarn was originally intended as an orchestral piece inspired by the landscapes of Iceland. This last year has seen Albarn return to the music in lockdown and develop the album to 11 tracks, which further explore themes of fragility, loss, emergence, and rebirth. This new studio album from Damon Albarn comes out today, November 12th. Dave Gahan of Depeche Mode fame has announced his third full-length collaboration with Soul Savers. The new album, Imposter, features covers of songs by PJ Harvey, Neil Young, Cat Power, Charlie Chaplin, Mark Lanigan, Gene Clark, and more. And that record is also out today. Rod Stewart's rekindled love of songwriting grows stronger on his 31st studio album, The Tears of Hercules. It's due to be released today as well, and will be available on CD and vinyl, and through all digital and streaming services. An Evening with Silk Sonic is the upcoming debut studio album by American R&B duo composed of recording artists Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. It is scheduled for release today as well. Eric Clapton has a new live album recorded over the pandemic, The Lady in the Balcony Lockdown Sessions. The sessions feature Clapton's bandmates Nathan East on bass and vocals, Steve Gadd on drums, and Chris Stainton on keyboards. The setlist covers acoustic version of Clapton's biggest tracks, as well as a number of other classic blues and country songs. Well, in film and TV news, Red Notice comes out today. It's Netflix's biggest budget movie to date. In the world of international crime, an Interpol agent attempts to hunt down and capture the world's most wanted art thief. The film stars Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne Johnson, and Gal Gadot. Written and directed by Academy Award nominee Kenneth Branagh, Belfast is a poignant story of love, laughter, and loss in one boy's childhood amid the music and social chaos of the 1960s. The film stars Dame Judi Dench, and it comes out today. Well, Night Raiders gets its release today as well. The year is 2043. A military occupation controls disenfranchised cities in post-war North America. Children are property of the state. A desperate Cree woman joins an underground band of vigilantes to infiltrate a state children's academy to get her daughter back. Night Raiders is a female-driven dystopian drama about resilience, courage, and love. Pulitzer Prize and Tony Award winner Lin-Manuel Miranda makes his feature directorial debut with Tick, Tick, Boom, an adaptation of the autobiographical musical by Jonathan Larson, who revolutionized theater as the creator of Rent. And the film stars Academy Award nominee and Tony Award winner Andrew Garfield. The Shrink Next Door premieres today on Apple TV+. It's the latest in an ever-growing batch of shows based on podcasts. This limited series draws on the true story of a psychiatrist's highly fraught relationship with a longtime patient and the woman at each of their sides. Paul Rudd, Will Ferrell, Katherine Hahn, and Casey Wilson round out the main cast. And Yellow Jackets premieres on Showtime this weekend. A group of high school soccer players get stranded after a plane crash, leading to a cutthroat tale of survival. 25 years later, the women who survived are forced to reckon with the decisions they made. The cast features Melanie Linsky, Juliette Lewis, and Christina Ricci. Sounds kind of interesting. In sports, Formula One is in Brazil this weekend for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen extended his lead over Lewis Hamilton to 19 points last weekend in Mexico. Just in case you missed it, it was a blistering race. With 4 races left, it's still wide open for a champion, which makes for some very exciting upcoming races. In the world of FIFA football, soccer to you fellow Americans, there are many World Cup qualifications going on this weekend, including United States versus Mexico, Spain versus Sweden, Portugal versus Serbia, and Russia versus Croatia. That should be very exciting. And in the world of audio gear and technology, Apple has introduced its newest M1 chips. The M1 Pro and M1 Max both demonstrate the company's increasing power as a chip designer. Both are designed for more capable models. The 14-inch and 16-inch Pros geared for video editors, programmers, and others with intense computing needs. They also come with much more powerful graphics processing power and memory, up to 16 gigabytes for the M1 Pro and 64 gig for the M1 Max. The result is that both chips, according to Apple's measurements, are 1.7 times faster than Intel's current 8-core Tiger Lake chips, while consuming 70% less power. The new M1 Pro and M1 Max only power the new 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pro at the moment, both of which are available from Apple right now. No word on when the iMac or iPad will carry the M1 chip, so stay tuned for that. SpaceX and NASA Crew 2 Dragon capsule made re-entry and splashdown off the coast of Florida Tuesday night. The next day, Crew 3 Dragon was launched with 4 new astronauts for their 6-month stay on the International Space Station. Hey, Elon, our sponsor, TAUMMHOMS, wants you to know that their product would be a very helpful addition to the astronauts' sleep and overall wellness. Come check it out. And that's all the news making the news today, November 12th, 2021. Now over to you, my lord.
Oh, hey, thank you, Toby. That was awesome. Well, welcome back to My Right Stuff, which is a film, TV, sports, music, adventure, and inspirational lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, Lord Toby Wright, and here on My Right Stuff, we'll be focusing on health for the entire month of November. We kicked off our health series with life coach Kimberly Cabot, followed by integrative cardiologist Dr. Jack Wolfson. We'll also have an organic restaurant owner, a spiritual guidance guru, along with a natural sleep sounds company, our sponsor, TAUMMHOMS. Today, our guest is Ashley Swanson. She's a holistic nutritionist who graduated from Iowa State with a bachelor's in Culinary Science and a master's in Nutritional Science. Her nutritional neuroscience research has been published in several peer-reviewed journals, and she co-wrote a chapter in Personalized and Precision Integrative Cardiovascular Medicine with Dr. Jack Wolfson, who she currently works for as a functional medicine nutritionist and heart health coach at his practice, Wolfson Integrative Cardiology in Scottsdale, Arizona. Well, before I introduce her, I want to thank you, all of our supporters who stream, download, watch, and support My Right Stuff. Keep spreading the word, my friends. I really do appreciate it. And be sure to click on our show notes below to follow our link tree for a full list of all the channels we're streaming on, as well as all of our sites and social media platforms. If you'd like to donate to My Right Stuff, please follow our support link. Every single dollar helps support the My Right Stuff crew who make all of this possible. And of course, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as the podcast channel of your choice, so you never, ever miss a single episode. Well, after this episode, please head on over to myrightstuff.com and click on the store tab to pick up some snazzy merch for those bodies. Well, as I said, today's guest is heart health coach Ashley Swanson. Her greatest joy is helping people live healthy, disease-free lives, and her philosophy is to analyze the total person for nutritional counseling, which she accomplishes by examining nutritional intakes and supplements, along with a focus on lifestyle, prevention, and incorporation of natural therapies. She will help you to heal from the inside out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please give a very, very warm welcome to my little ray of sunshine, Ashley Swanson. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, glad to be here. Hi.
How's it going?
It's going well. How about you?
Oh, it's going great today. It's an amazing day. It's
Good,
Friday.
Friday. It's already October 15th. Yes.
Man, time flies.
It does. It does.
Well, here on My Right Stuff, we like to give our audience a little history of our guest. I understand you graduated from Iowa State. And what degree did you earn and in what field?
Yeah, I graduated from Iowa State twice. So I got my undergrad Bachelors of Science degree in Culinary Science, which was really focused on kind of a marriage of food science and culinary arts.
Okay.
And then after that, I decided that I really wanted to go into nutrition, and I really wanted some of the extreme science, the biochemistry, the biology, all of that. So I went on to get my master's in nutritional science from Iowa State University. And I actually had a cool field that I worked in. I worked in a neuroscience field. So our department had hired on a neuroscientist. He was brand new to the department, and they really wanted to get into the field of nutritional neuroscience. So it was a lot of learning and exploring for me, but I got to do a lot of research with Alzheimer's disease and really kind of the drivers of Alzheimer's disease and how to track the progression of Alzheimer's with kind of a non-invasive approach.
Wow, that's amazing, actually. So that was the first position you held after you graduated?
So I was kind of that graduate research scientist. When I was getting my master's, I was getting paid kind of to do that. And then once I graduated, my first position was actually working with Dr. Wolfson at his office in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Wonderful. Well, what do you believe holistic wellness consists of?
So, it's a kind of a big question, essentially. And I think what it comes down to is working on everything. And so it's a lot of work to get to the root cause of disease. So when I think of holistic wellness, I think of looking at every aspect of your life and then correcting whatever is, out of balance with nature and kind of what we should be doing. So looking at your diet, what you're eating, is it organic? Looking at how many toxins you're exposed to on a day-to-day basis, looking at, your stress level. Are you getting sunshine? Are you getting sleep? It's basically kind of this overhaul of all these different aspects of your life to ensure that you're actually, living really well and healthy.
That's awesome. That's a whole lifetime full of stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you meet
most
this?
People, don't even know about that, and they kind of carry on with their lives and don't question things. But I guess too, it does involve questioning what we're told and what we're told to do, and then becoming our own researchers and learning the truth about health and wellness as well.
Right, because I guess that stems back to when you're a kid and how your parents bring you up and what food they put in front of you to eat and all that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And what maybe they've been told by doctors, nutritionists, or government entities, all those things. So.
Right. Well, it's a big, huge subject, and we're going to get into the meat of it in a little bit. No pun intended. So, how did you meet Dr. Wolfson?
So actually, I had read his book, The Paleo Cardiologist. I'd actually gotten it from my mom, and we had seen another kind of functional medicine doctor out here in Arizona who had his book. And, I had read his book. I was really kind of enthralled with it. I loved the work he was doing. And after I had gotten my master's in nutritional science from Iowa State, we actually moved back down to Arizona. And I set up a meeting and met with him in his office. And that's kind of how we got started, was just that initial meeting and me saying that, I wanted to work for him. I loved what he was doing, which was awakening the world to wellness. And I wanted to be a part of his team.
Excellent. Well, how long have you been working with him?
Since 2017. So.
Okay.
Coming up on 5 years. Yeah.
Wow. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you collaborate with him in writing a chapter in personalized and precision integrative cardiovascular medicine? And did you enjoy the experience, and would you like to write more?
Yeah, so that was in 2019. He and I were able to participate together on a whole chapter in this integrative cardiology textbook, which was really exciting. Our chapter was on the Paleo Diet and coronary heart disease, really working to dispel some of the myths about, meat and fat and all of that, and how these things that we were told were harmful all along to the heart are actually the key to a healthy heart and to a 100-year heart. So
Wow.
we collaborated on that, and we actually had about 187 scientific articles and research studies that proved our point that the paleo diet is indeed heart healthy, and that if you want that healthy heart, then you need to have a diet such as that.
That's excellent. You hear that, stomach and heart? You got some stuff coming. Here we go. Anyway, so what does your position of a heart health coach at Wolfson's entail?
Yeah, so a lot of different roles, working with the natural heart doctor team. One of the biggest things that we do is that when Dr. Wolfson sees new patients in his office, the coaches are there to meet the new patient, go over their note and their plan, really to kind of fill in that gap in care after they've had that appointment with Dr. Wolfson. And this is one of the things that we teach our patients, is that when they come to us and they come to functional medicine, we're no longer giving them that Band-Aid approach, like a symptom or a procedure, and sending them on their way. We're telling them that you're going to be a co-learner in this process with us. You're going to have the responsibility put back onto you to get well. We'll help you along the way, but some of that responsibility now is going back onto you. So that's one of the reasons why he has the coaches he does, is because, it is a lot of work to get healthy, and you do need that guidance and accountability, education, and support. So that's the first thing. We do different things. We do, one-on-one health coaching where we're working with individualized problems. I work with heart failure patients, diabetics, cancer patients, different types of patients. We are launching actually a lot of really fun group coaching programs that are coming up. Currently, we are doing an atrial fibrillation group coaching program that is 12 weeks long. We have some carnivore challenge opportunities coming up, some other kind of group coaching things that are going to be really fun. The other thing that I do is I do a lot of lab reviews. So if you're ever interested in diving deep into what your root cause issues are, you can get labs off of our website, and it comes with a free coaching review where we work to develop that customized protocol to get you well. And then we do offer free 20-minute calls, which I think are a really nice way to get introduced into what we do and how we help people optimize not just their heart health, but their overall health.
That's excellent. Wow, that sounds, I know from being a patient there that the services are unparalleled, and it's just so good. I mean, I feel great, and I thank you for that.
Good.
So getting back to the diet thing, there's so many viewpoints and what is the best diet to follow? You got your paleo, you got all these other crazy things. So what do you recommend to people, and why?
Well, I think we at Natural Heart Doctor first come at it from a common sense kind of viewpoint and really an ancestral viewpoint. So, these diets and, nutritionist kind of recommendations can get really complicated, but we try to simplify it. And so first off, just saying we do recommend a paleo diet for most individuals.
Okay.
And why that is because first off, it is the most anti-inflammatory diet out there. It really is. It's getting rid of the harmful things, and it's really just including the good things. When we talk about a paleo diet, though, what it comes down to sourcing as well. So we have to focus on making sure we're sourcing those healthy things, organic, grass-fed meat, wild caught fish, all those things. That's what's really crucial to making sure that diet will have benefits for you.
That's fabulous. It has for me. I know that. So is your nutritional approach to healing heart issues different than other ailments, or do you kind of go at it all the same?
Yeah, that's a good question. And interestingly, we do see all sorts of patients in our office, even though we are a heart center. But, when you think about what causes disease, it's one thing. It's the cells are not functioning. The cells are dysfunctional.
Okay.
And then you have to be a bit of a detective to figure out why those cells aren't functioning. But whatever the disease is, those diseases tend to have the same root causes. There's inflammation there. There can be toxins. There can be micronutrient deficiencies. There could be gut issues like leaky gut that are causing systemic inflammation that manifests in the brain or the heart or the liver.
Right.
There's a lot of those kind of same root causes across the board. And a lot of times, the treatments or modalities are a lot of times the same too, really getting that healthy diet, having that mega dose therapy of nutrients and supplements, and then correcting a lot of the lifestyle techniques as well.
Got it. Okay. So are diseases, do you believe that like certain diseases are genetic and we just can't avoid them? Or do you think that we can, avoid them by steering away from all of that stuff that we're taught as a young child?
Yeah, that's something that we educate, people on daily, is really kind of steering them away from that genetic viewpoint, because a lot of times people will think, heart disease is genetic, that was in my family, or cancer, right, is genetic, things like that. But it's actually epigenetics that are the issue for disease. And epigenetics are just essentially all the things in your environment, your internal and your external environment, that can either turn on or turn off genes. And so you can think about genes as a light switch. And, the things that you're doing in your life every day will determine if that gene is turned on or turned off. So it's a much more advanced approach to disease. It's not just genetics. It's what you're doing. It's that diet. It's the toxin level. It's your stress level. It's all these things cumulatively that ultimately determine if the gene for something may be turned on or turned off. But the good news with that is that then you have, again, the power to correct those things. If you know that, your diet and your toxin level are playing a role, then you can work to correct those things. You can detox, you can go on an organic diet, things like that.
All right. Get rid of them in your environment and so on and so forth, right?
Correct your own environment.
Yeah, that's a big one. I found that out the hard way.
Yeah, it's a big one, and it's something that a lot of people don't want to face either. Again, it's a lot of work to get healthy, but once you're there, it is worth it too. So that's what we work on educating people for is, you have the power to correct those things.
And that's a good thing to know, because when you feel powerless, you're not going to take the extra step to, source out those things that are good for you. You're just still going to go to the store and get your processed stuff.
Right.
So if someone has a more severe illness like cancer, what natural course might you recommend to avoid conventional treatments and medications?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is telling people, again, to be their own researchers. And this is something that they're not told, but there are other options out there. But you have to be the one to question the narrative, to read, to research, to ask people, even contacting our office, ask people what options are out there. So that's the first thing, is that I would tell people there are great, shows out there like The Truth About Cancer. There's a lot of really great resources out there. It's kind of a first place to start. But then again, simplifying it and thinking about, well, what caused these cancer cells to develop? What caused my cells to no longer function properly? And there's a lot of evidence out there that, cancer cells feed on glucose. That is their fuel. So if we know that, then we can correct that. And that's what a lot of these doctors and, again, scientists are doing, is they're looking at fasting. They're looking at the keto diet to basically starve cancer cells of their fuel. There's also a lot of places out there that are using mega dose vitamins like IV vitamin C, which, when you have vitamin C in a very, very high dose, it basically turns on the cancer cells and works to eradicate them. So again, it's you being your own researcher, you taking on the responsibility, and then working with a really good team who will help you to be healthy again.
That sounds fantastic. And yeah, it's a lot of work, isn't it? So you mentioned the blood glucose. What about diabetes? What is your approach to keeping the glucose down without any medications?
Yeah, I work with diabetes a lot, and that's a really, it's a fun condition to work with, essentially, because we can get people well, and it can happen in a relatively good amount of time. So the biggest approach that we work with is fasting. And so when you think about having a blood sugar problem, you can think about it kind of like your cells are suitcases. There is an overflow problem. The cells are overflowing with too much sugar, too much stored fuel. So common sense would tell us, well, we have to empty out the cells or empty out the suitcases so that everything can work again. And fasting is a really great tool to use to do such a thing. So, we work with different fasting methods. We're always trying to put a little bit of good stress on the body. We work with diet, we add in supplements, but ultimately we're trying to drop down that insulin hormone during a period of not eating. And when you're not eating, your body still needs fuel. So it ends up burning off, whatever's stored in your cells. And so it's a very exciting kind of approach because, again, people have been told, once they have diabetes to go on all these medications, but that never gets rid of the problem. In fact, it causes more down the road where people, develop an overflow problem even more, where they're just trying to, with the medication, shove more sugar in. Right. And so you get infections and you get all of that. So it's an exciting thing to work with because it can be reversed with diet and lifestyle.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, going back to what was I going to say? Going back to the neuroscience of your education, how does good nutrition versus poor nutrition affect the disease of the brain, like Alzheimer's or even epilepsy?
Well, one of the biggest, and Alzheimer's is becoming, an epidemic, and one of the biggest factors for why Alzheimer's occurs, and that's why what my research was in was like neuro inflammation, so inflammation of the brain.
Right.
And when you have all that inflammation in the brain, then basically, you don't get that cellular communication. So all these neuronal pathways that are responsible for your cells communicating get destroyed, and then over time you start to lose different aspects of the brain regions, like short-term memory, long-term memory, all that. So, it's not just localized to the brain. And so what I would say is that if you have that neuroinflammation, you have to, again, look at it from that holistic viewpoint. It's something, right. There's some root causes in your body that it manifested as Alzheimer's, but it could have manifested as heart disease or cancer. But you need to address that. So proper nutrition is key. Again, driving down the inflammation. One of the other biggest drivers of neurodegeneration, well, two things. It's high blood sugar. That's been shown up. We studied that as well. That's a big driver of inflammation, but also toxins as well. So toxins are going to basically if they can cross the blood-brain barrier, they're going to destroy, again, the cellular communication and some of those. It causes kind of a shrinkage of key brain regions that you need. So proper nutrition is key, and it goes back to how our ancestors were. They engaged in periods of feasting and fasting and, didn't have a lot of toxins. Again, it's a simple approach, but very, very effective.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. That all makes sense to me. Well, I know gluten is a hot topic button for the day. Do you feel no one should be eating gluten, or just those who have signs of gluten sensitivities like leaky gut and diseases such as colitis, Crohn's disease and celiac disease?
So while we are really big advocates of the paleo diet at our office, we do start off people on just a few simple steps. And we'll say, even if you don't eat paleo, the first two things that you could do that would be really good for your health would be to eat organic and then be strict gluten-free. And that's for a few different reasons. Gluten is a protein, mainly in wheat proteins, or in wheat products, but other things like barley and rye. And it comes from basically these two proteins in wheat that combine and they create gluten, which is like glue essentially. But, first off, we as humans just don't have the enzymatic machinery to break down gluten. So over time, it kind of builds up and it causes, inflammation. It causes leaky gut, which is a root cause disorder. It's something that our bodies just weren't equipped to handle. So it becomes very inflammatory. But secondly, we and some of these grains are really heavily sprayed at their end desiccation period with glyphosate and Roundup. So it's also a very big source of toxins to not just our guts, but our health.
Right. Yeah, I learned that about gluten. I was kind of pissed off about it. Well, all, like you mentioned, all the grains, do they all have gluten, even rice and oatmeal? And what about corn? I like corn tortillas because they don't have flour. So what about all that? Can I still eat that if I have a gluten intolerance?
Yeah. So, again, it's going to depend on the health issue that we're treating. We, again, are approaching this from the paleo diet perspective. And so one of the benefits to that is that the paleo diet eliminates all grains, again, focusing on carbs from vegetables. So, there is a lot of cross-reactivity with some of these grains. So if you're diagnosed with leaky gut, and I'd say most of the population does have leaky gut, it tends to be a silent disorder. Right. But, if you're diagnosed with that, then some of these other grains are still going to get some of that cross-reactivity where it may not have gluten in it, but they have similar proteins that have that cross-reactivity that can still stimulate a lot of inflammation in the body. So we coach people around this mindset of getting their carbohydrates from living things, cellular things, which would be your vegetables, as opposed to acellular or quote kind of dead carbohydrates, which would be more of your processed grains. If you're out and about and you need to make the best choice possible, then some organic rice or organic quinoa would probably be the best choice. But, what are you doing every day? If you can eliminate those grains, you can get really good health benefits from it.
That's excellent. So what other foods can contain gluten?
Well, interestingly, gluten is actually hidden in many different things, and I've written on this extensively. I mean, they found that gluten is used, in excipients as binders in medications, and a lot of your processed foods as well. So looking at labels is crucial. It's your sauces, your gravies, your salad dressings, your chips, your fries, your processed meats. Again, anything that's sitting on a shelf likely probably has some gluten hidden in it as either a binder or some sort of other filler. So reading labels becomes really key. And again, just getting back to that mindset of whole foods where you're making stuff from scratch and you can ensure that there really isn't any, thing in it that might be harming your health.
Right. So I have this, gluten-free pasta. And I'm of the opinion that I like pasta, but I mean, are gluten-free breads and pastas really a good alternative? Like, are there really no gluten in them, or is that just a label?
Yeah. So, if it's a gluten-free product, then it should be gluten-free. But again, it's processed. And a lot of times, like you said, it uses cheaper ingredients like corn. And, we say go gluten-free, but in our office, we're also saying go corn-free as well. Corn is, again, a heavily sprayed crop with glyphosate. There's a lot of other issues with that. Again, that cross-reactivity. So, I mean, for most part, if you can avoid those gluten-free products and get back to the basics with organic vegetables, that's a good thing. But there are, if you're out and about and you actually need some sort of thing to keep on your shelf, then there are better options, right? Like one of the brands that we like is Siete, where they actually have like tortillas and chips that are made from cassava root. And it's a healthier gluten-free alternative than some of those corn products.
Okay, that sounds good. It's called Siete, you said? Okay, yeah, I'd like to try those. So while we're on the subject of food, can we touch on some of the misconceptions due to marketing? Like, for instance, is butter really bad for you?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we've been lied to by, the industry and some of these captured agencies.
No way.
And this is...
Are you serious? Like, do we really get lied to? Like, come on.
I know. I'm here to tell you.
All right. Tell me.
Those are lies. So I'm here to dispel the myths. Red meat is good for your heart. Butter is good for your heart. Ooh, again, we got to get, a little bit detailed on that. We're saying that if you're going to eat some grass-fed organic red meat, that's good for your heart. If you're going to eat some of that grass-fed butter, that's good for your heart. Okay. So, this whole, the misconceptions, I think, started back in, the 70s, kind of it was like a war on fat and on red meat. Basically, those two things become vilified and were said to be the cause of heart disease and all these problems. But then when that happened, these industries started pushing, whole grain, low fat, all this stuff. And what happened was we actually got even unhealthier as a population. We got more obesity, more diabetes, more heart disease, all these other problems in larger magnitudes arose from that. So, we're here at Natural Heart Doctor to, again, dispel the myths, but then educate people, follow the science, and really show them, like, these things are being researched right now. These things are good for you. So, some of for example, like butter, if you eat grass-fed butter, it's rich in a good type of saturated fat that can help with cholesterol. It can actually help with changing your cholesterol from the harmful small type to kind of that larger, fluffier, benign type. So that's just one example of how those things can help.
Right. Well, what about ghee? Is that Is that as good as some grass-fed?
Yeah, so we let people have, grass-fed butter, ghee, which is kind of like clarified butter. Again, you have to source it properly, so you would get grass-fed ghee, and that's usually available. We love animal fats, which most probably cardiologists aren't recommending, but we love your grass-fed beef tallow, pork fat, duck fat, bison fat, all those things, because they're rich in all these micronutrients that are actually really important for your heart. And that's something that we see often in our office. People who are coming in with heart failure, some of these major, basically weakening of the heart muscle, a lot of times they were vegetarians where they had no red meat in their diet.
Yeah. A big misconception right there, huh?
Yes, yeah.
So we covered the oils and the fats in general. So what about eggs? Is eating like eggs okay? And is eating egg whites healthy?
So we think of eggs as nature's multivitamin, and they have all those vitamins, minerals, antioxidants in there. We love eggs, pasture-raised eggs, raised properly. And then, we love the yolk. So the yolk is the best thing for the heart, not the whites. Again, another misconception. So eating the whole egg, sometimes, depending on the patient, what's going on, we'll say just load up on egg yolks. So eggs are great, and they're really heart healthy as well. Brain healthy. They have all these different nutrients in there, to basically around your cells, you have kind of this membrane that sits there to protect them, whether that's in your heart or your brain. And one of the main constituents of that is choline. And the best source of choline comes from egg yolks. So it's a healthy food.
Excellent. And can you eat them every day? And if so, like how many? Just for me personally.
As many. Right, as many as you want. Eggs are just a nice food, and that's something that I eat a lot of too. Is just they're easy to make. You can make them as snacks, like hard boil them. You can make them frittata, all these different things. So we're not putting a limit on it. Eat as many eggs as you want. For sure, try to get in eggs daily, but as many as you want. To eat to satiety. Yeah.
So one thing other cardiologists have told me in the past, and I had a heart attack, and the reason they said I had a heart attack was because of my cholesterol. Well, my cholesterol, it hovered around 200, and sometimes a little less, and sometimes a little more. I know that eggs and shellfish, especially, have a lot of cholesterol in them. How is that okay to eat? Like, we just said eggs were great, but what about the cholesterol levels and stuff that so many people are concerned with?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's another thing that has been disproven in the science. It's another lie. So, when you think about what makes up, quote, bad cholesterol, what makes up plaque, it is not dietary cholesterol. Really, the stuff that you eat does not translate to the cholesterol in your heart. So that has been disproven. It's actually sugar, carbohydrates that drive bad cholesterol and that drive a lot of the cardiac problems that we see. So we love dietary cholesterol. Obviously, we're proponents of red meat, which is the richest source of eggs, of shellfish, all those things that have dietary cholesterol in them. And again, that dietary cholesterol serves a lot of roles. Again, protecting those cells and keeping them strong and healthy and functional.
Okay. Another myth dispelled. Thank you. And what about dairy products? Like, should we be having fat-free stuff and low fat or skim milk, or do you think it's good to have the whole milk with the big old chunk of fat on the top and shake it up and drink a good old glass of milk?
Yeah, so, for the most part, and again, following kind of that paleo belief, we're really actually limiting a lot of the dairy. And again, it goes kind of hand in hand with gluten. That's how I educate, is that, we don't have a lot of the enzymes to really break down some of the dairy products. So over time, it is an inflammatory food. It's allergenic. And you can sometimes notice that if you were to drink milk, you might get more mucus formation, all that. So, and then on top of that, the dairy products out there, obviously, like pasteurized, homogenized. So they're basically, again, kind of dead products, right? Where things have been overly heated and killed off. So if you're gonna go for dairy, what we say is make it organic and make it raw. So raw milk or raw cheese, where it's gonna have all those enzymes in there to help your body break it down and absorb it.
Right. Okay. Raw milk and raw cheese. I like it. I love that.
Find
raw milk.
a local farmer or something like that. Yeah.
So what's your take on current FDA guidelines for diet for heart and diabetic patients?
I mean, they're making people sicker, unfortunately. And again, that's kind of, I think, where we're coming from with natural heart doctors, just trying to get this message out to people that there are alternatives and there are ways to get healthy. And it requires, first off, just questioning what we're told and then doing our own research and kind of jumping on maybe another train of some sort of school of thought. So those things are making people healthier. The My Plate, all that, where it's focused on grains and kind of these, and dairy, actually, things that are not helping our health at all. Okay. So we're coming from it maybe from a more radical point of view, but we're saying, like, get rid of anything that is not organic, get rid of things that contain gluten, get right. Organic things, get grass-fed. Basically, we're trying to educate people on those types of foods.
That's excellent.
Back to the basics. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So what would be your example of the best meal that we can eat to fuel our bodies for the day?
Yeah, I think, again, it's going to depend on the patient, but I think what I like to tell people is that it can be pretty simple. We should go through periods of feasting. We should go through periods of fasting as well, like our ancestors did. And that's probably another thing in line with what you were talking about with the guidelines. I think everybody was always told to be eating every few hours, keep those meals small and eat multiple meals per day. And that's another example of a lie. We don't want to be eating that frequently. That is actually harming our health because it spikes our insulin, and all these, different diseases, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, are really hormonal in nature. So we don't want to be spiking insulin all the time and eating. We want to be fasting and feasting. So one of the easiest things you can do is, first off, engage in intermittent fasting. And if this is new for you, one of the easiest methods is the 16-8 method, where you fast for about 16 hours a day and you have a shorter eating window, which is 8 hours. Okay. So for example, you could stop eating at 8 p.m. and resume eating at noon the next day. And during that fasting period, just having water, you could have black coffee, you could have plain tea. That's it. No calories coming in. And it's a reset for the body. It's really, really good for the body because eating all the time is actually really hard on the body. And when you go through this period of fasting, your body can work on healing, whatever is awry. So doing that, and then maybe focusing on like 2 paleo type of meals per day. Okay. I love recommending people to eat fatty fish first. So either wild caught salmon or sardines, which are rich in those omega-3 fatty acids and a lot of other vitamins and minerals, and they tend to be really filling. So having that as one of your protein sources, and then red meat. So grass-fed red meat of some sort, probably a fattier cut, right? We like that fat in there. Sure. And then just diversifying up vegetables. So you think about your plate, and again, it's really simple. It's having that quality protein. It's having plenty of fat there to keep you full. So that could be putting some animal fat on there, putting some grass-fed butter on there, or it could be an avocado. So good fat. And then last but not least is some good vegetables. And I just tell people to diversify all those things because all these different foods have different nutrients and micronutrients in them. So get in different types of fats, different types of meats, and different types of vegetables.
Excellent. Okay. So, I'm trying to follow this diet here, right? And I'm trying to do the 16-8 thing. But I really, really like to watch a movie after dinner and have popcorn and snacks. What the heck? Like, can I watch a movie earlier and have my snacks before 8? Like, tell me.
Yeah.
It's lifestyle, actually,
Exactly. Yeah. So, first off, I would just say stick with those boundaries. So, you could move up the time frame, right? Like you could move it up to stop eating at 6 p.m. and maybe that's what you do, or 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. I'm just saying, first off, feel free to always move that time period. It's not a stagnant time period. But that being said, it is better to finish eating earlier in the evening. So kind of going to your point, you still probably do want to wrap up by about 8 o'clock. So either, again, watching that movie earlier or trying to find, we work on eliminating all these things, but we still also want to replace it. So there isn't that kind of feeling of lack. So maybe
Right.
having, like, we tell people to have chamomile tea or some sort of tea, something that's not going to break your fast, but you still kind of have this ritual around and something to sip on, or some sort of non-caloric thing. So tea would be the best thing, I would say, is like an herbal tea.
Okay.
And again, it's getting into routine and regimens. And yes, we're trying to change the lifestyle and all these different things,
Right.
whether you're working towards sleep or anything, they require a bit of a nice routine. So thinking about that.
Okay. Well, that's a little different from what I used to do. All right. So I'll have to get into my routine. So let's go back to the coaching aspect of your position. If someone's looking for help to manage their food intake, how would their sessions with you differ from a more conventional nutritionist?
So again, I will be working with like the whole picture. So looking, I first off take any like diagnoses or anything that's going wrong. We kind of take a good assessment of the patient and what they're working on. We set some goals. And again, I'm going beyond just nutrition with these individuals. I'm looking at like, what is your toxin level every day? Are you getting toxins in your body care products, in your laundry soap? Are you running an air purifier in your home to get toxins out? I'm looking at, again, what kind of foods they're eating. Are they fasting? Are they getting ample amounts of sunshine, early morning, some afternoon rays, some evening rays? I'm looking at sleep. So again, I think it's that whole picture, bringing back in that holistic viewpoint to health and not just focusing on nutrition, but all the different aspects of health.
Okay, I gotcha. So how important is exercise, and what type would you recommend?
Yeah, exercise is something that we also talk about. That would be another pillar of health. Movement, again, kind of simplifying it. I think that's the biggest goal that I work on, is simplifying it. So I'm not going to say, go train for a marathon. That would actually be kind of inflammatory in nature. I'm going to... I'm going to say to focus on more of the primal movements, thinking about just moving more throughout your day, going for walks or hikes, being out in nature, right? I'm not going to say necessarily go to the gym, just be out in the sunshine and move the body more. And, same with kind of, weight kind of bearing activities, using your own body weight to build up muscle, things like that. So really kind of some of those primal movements, and then just more movement throughout the day. Even thinking about like if you're at your desk, standing instead of sitting all day long.
Okay. Yeah, but if I stood up all day long and then I'd be bending over the desk like that, my back would kill me. Anyway, I was wondering, like, are you recommending like yoga and stretching, those kind of minimal movement type of exercises, or is it a brisk walk for a couple of miles, or both, or or lifting
I like
weights?
both. I really I think all those things are great. I like having patients walk more or hike more, like I said, for longer periods of time, like an hour, where you're really able to just stimulate, not just like with exercise, but stimulate your lymphatic system to really help with expelling toxins. And again, you get other benefits. It's a peaceful thing. It's a de-stressing thing. You're getting the sunshine, like I said. I mean, also some cardio is great too. So, maybe you go for a little bit of a run, or one of the other things that we like is like high intensity interval training, where you're kind of training the heart rate, going up with higher intensity activity down to lower intensity activity.
Okay.
But again, just depends on the person and what their need is, but some sort of movement that fits into their day-to-day life is key.
Oh, excellent. Okay. How about lifting weights and stuff like that? Is that good, or too much stress on the heart, or?
No, I mean, that's good. We have patients that do things like CrossFit and other type of, they work with trainers and things like that. So that's good. Again, I think it just depends on the person's goals. You can also build up muscle, like I said, through some of these more primal movements as well, through hiking, biking, walking, and then using your own body weight, maybe push-ups, things like that. And yoga is a great strength-bearing activity that also is, again, kind of a de-stressing one as well. So that's something that we recommend too, is yoga. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Stress is a killer. That's all I know.
Yeah, it is a toxin.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably the main reason I had a heart attack was stress, but that's, trying to eliminate that in life and as much as possible. Well, it seems lately like a lot of people are drinking protein shakes in replacement of meals. How do you feel about people drinking most or all of their caloric or daily caloric intake?
With a protein shake. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's not what, we're recommending. We actually have a product called Daily Defense that has a little bit of protein in there, but when you think about what makes a good shake, I guess, there's other things in there. Like our Daily Defense has some anti-inflammatories, some multivitamin kind of components, all these things that help with detoxing. So to answer your question, no, I don't think relying on protein shakes as your meals is a sufficient way to exist. I think you got to get back to the basics again. Those are still processed things, and we don't just want protein. We don't want that much protein. We want protein from meat and fat and veg, and we want, the carbohydrates from vegetables as well to come into play. And, when you look at protein powders, that's actually a good thing too. Like, we like kind of that grass-fed hydrolyzed beef type of protein powder where it's a very good quality. Like, we're not recommending pea protein powder by any means. So if you do need some protein powder to maybe put on muscle or to gain some weight, then there are better alternatives out there as well.
Okay. Well, I guess those people can come and see you and you can tell them all about it. Well, Dr. Wolfson has recommended me to participate in what we talked about before a little bit, the Carnivore Challenge. And so what is that? And can you explain it to me?
Yeah, so the Carnivore Challenge is, it's like a week-long challenge where we're really walking people through what the carnivore diet is. And we have a meal guide, recipes to follow. It's a really fun time, I think, for people and for us coaches and Dr. Wolfson to work with people on kind of next step goals. So while we love the paleo diet, there's also, a lot of benefit to going full on carnivore. When we talk about carnivore, that means like, getting in a lot of that meat, getting in a lot of that animal fat, and really kind of shifting the body into almost a ketosis type of state. You get a lot of benefits from, it's like a fasting mimicking state as well when you eat carnivore. So you get all these different health benefits. It's very anti-inflammatory, and people can use carnivore and use it maybe once a month, like for a week-long cleanse, like a carnivore cleanse.
Oh, wow.
Or, if people are really sick or they are really inflamed, then they may just need to go on a full-on carnivore diet for a while. So we like that one, and we like the paleo too.
Understood. So the paleo, let me understand this. The paleo is just carbohydrates from vegetables and meat, right? And the carnivore
fat,
and fat, right? So, but the carnivore is strictly meat, no veggies, nothing else, meat and fat.
So, I mean, traditionally, if you were going to go full on carnivore, then we would focus on, again, that protein from whether that's red meat, pork, chicken, fish, and then we'd focus on all these different types of animal fats. We do allow butter, but again, all those tallows that I talked about from pork or bison, all that.
Right.
But we're working on our own carnivore pyramid as well. We have a paleo pyramid where we kind of can educate you. It's kind of like a play off the food guide pyramid, but instead we've got a paleo and a carnivore pyramid. So there are modifications where you can still reap those benefits of carnivore, but some people want to have the dark leafy greens on there, maybe some berries. So the carnivore essentially is just kind of mimicking that carnivore lifestyle, but berries are still included, some of the leafy greens, maybe some different types of fats. But the biggest thing with carnivore, and that's what we educate on in the challenge, is that its diversity is key. So getting in the different types of fats every day, because then you can get a different array of all of your nutrients, like your vitamin A, D, E, and K, all these different things. So we work a lot on making sure people are getting in different types of protein, like they're just not eating steak and butter every day. They're mixing it up to get all the nutrients. But then we also really work on making sure they're full. And so again, that's playing around with your own ratios, like a lot of fat and protein and different types of things. So
interesting. So, I told you I had a heart attack in 18, right? And so when I was laying there, I had the surgeon came in, and she was a woman in her mid 30s, and she said, and this is the nutritionist, and she brought in another woman, and she said, you did very good. I put a few stents in your heart, and you'll be fine. Take care. I said, okay, thanks. The nutritionist came in, and she goes, okay, so now to change your diet. I was like, okay, well, what do we got here? And at that time I was eating everything that I could, right? Because I'm just a big eater. I love food, and so she said, well, we're going to switch you over to a low sodium, low cholesterol diet. I said, oh, okay. Well, what does that entail? And she said, it's 1,000 milligrams of sodium or less per day and 100 milligrams of cholesterol or less per day. I cried. I was like, what am I supposed to eat? Like cardboard? Like, really, what is that? So I did this for, I don't know, 6 or 7 months. And my cholesterol went from about 200 down to 45. Not good. Body parts weren't working as they should. And so that's when, my good friend Colette got me to come to Dr. Wolfson and meet you guys and check it out and have a good time. It's like now I feel so much more healthier than I did then because, first of all, my fear around my heart is gone. That's first of all. Second of all, I noticed that I feel way healthier than I did back then. And I think it's all because of, this kind of treatment,
Yeah. So I think that's what we want to do is help people. And I think it's sad when it's like those things are not required, actually they are harmful to health, right? Like the whole thing about like limiting salt and going low cholesterol. It's like I tell people the best thing that you could eat if you have a heart condition is that grass-fed red meat because there are these nutrients in there that are needed for the heart. So that's things like L-carnitine, D-ribose, coenzyme Q10, which a lot of people, it's actually the most popular heart supplement out there. Okay. These things are abundant in red meat. And what they do is they make sure that the heart is able to produce enough energy in its cells, that the cells are able to work really well, and that the heart can be strong and not weak. So, red meat is really one of the best, and not just red meat. Like I could take it further and say, grass-fed organ meat is actually even better. Heart helps the heart. There's all these nutrients in the heart. We're actually putting people on bison and elk liver supplement capsules because even in higher doses, we can get those nutrients for the heart in those organ meat products. So, that's a crucial thing. Again, the dietary cholesterol. When we test for cholesterol, we go beyond total cholesterol, LDL, HDL. Those are really outdated measures, and we really cannot infer cardiac risk from those outdated measures. So instead, we look at the particle size and the particle number. Again, getting back to that thing where the type of cholesterol that can be harmful are the small, dense, and damaged types. So what helps to shift that form of cholesterol is the healthy red meat with the healthy saturated fat, some of those omega-3 fatty acids. So those things are just, myths, and we have to dispel those in order to have that 100-year heart. And then also, sodium. Right. There's a lot of studies out there that, that's also just been disproven. Like salt is actually needed for the heart to function, especially we talk a lot about that with arrhythmias and AFib patients. Salt is an electrolyte. It's a mineral, and it regulates, what other minerals get into your heart: magnesium, potassium, calcium. It's a regulator mineral. And, what we coach people on is getting their salt from things like pink Himalayan salt, which also has 84 other trace minerals in there and is more of an unrefined natural salt for the heart. So yeah, I think low salt diets are also causing a lot of other problems in the heart too out there. So we want to avoid that. And when you go on that kind of paleo diet as well, right, where it's not processed and doesn't have that kind of refined salt or processed sodium in their MSG, we have to come back in with some salt, with some natural salt to fuel our cells.
Interesting. Well, you mentioned D-ribose and L-carnitine, right? So let's talk about supplements for a minute. If, for my particular AFib condition, would you recommend that I get supplements of these things or just, have a nice grass-fed beef meal?
Well, I would actually recommend both, which I'm sure I would do. And really, it's because we have to eat healthy. We have to do the best we can with diet. But unfortunately, our soil is depleted. All of these different things are hindering kind of the nutrient composition of food. So we really cannot get enough nutrients from food alone. So we say that supplements supplement the healthy lifestyle. We all need supplements, right, in higher dose forms. And especially if you have a heart condition, you need supplements. So there are supplements out there that I would definitely, put anybody on if they had a heart condition in conjunction with that paleo diet.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you very much. And we'll be talking about that later. So obviously there's a great amount of food prep required day to day for any healthy lifestyle. I know I went through this, and, like I said, when the lady told me I had to eat that diet, and I cried because I didn't know what to do, right? I never had a meal prep thing in my life. And so what advice would you give to people to help people ease the stress of that for especially for us very, very busy people, to just get a few meals in the fridge so that, we can just go in and, almost like fast food and go, okay, here's my salad and here's my protein and I'm good to go. What kind of recommendations?
There's all these different really great paleo recipes out there, and I've created a lot of paleo recipe guides, but for most everybody, they want simplicity, which I get. So first off, I think it helps simplify for somebody if we say, hey, you're going to fast for 16 hours of the day and you're just going to have 2 meals to take care of. Or maybe the person only needs 1 meal, depending on, weight loss goals, all that. So first off, we add in the fasting, and that's helpful.
Okay.
And then I say, meal prep is going to be your best friend. So on a Sunday, if you're working and you're really busy, choose Sunday as your meal prep day and make up different types of protein. So, I love salmon being cooked up, the red meat, hard boil some eggs, get all the protein cooked up, and then chop up like a medley of different vegetables and saute them up, maybe in some olive oil, butter, avocado oil, and start to make bowls for the week. And I think that's just the easiest thing that I coach people on, is just making paleo bowls. So, you can get that medley of vegetables as the base of your bowl, put on some protein, maybe you top it with some fat like avocado, olives, coconut, whatever that is, some animal fat. And then we like to make our own sauces. That's a great thing, getting back into the kitchen, making paleo marinades and sauces. But if you're in a pinch and you want some really good quality sauces for your bowls, Primal Kitchen is actually the one that I recommend. So if you get their line of products, like whether you're getting like a Mexican sauce or, a salad dressing or whatever your bowl is based on, then you can get these sauces and just kind of, drizzle it on top. And that makes it a lot easier, I think, just to go that route. And again, you don't really have to read labels. If it's Primal Kitchen, it's paleo, it's organic, it's going to be a nice complement to your meals.
Okay, that's fabulous. And I'd like to drop all those links into our descriptions at the end of this. So if you could kindly share those with us, that way we can all, get to the links and go to these places and eat properly, because man, it's a lot of work. And I know because, I do it pretty much every day.
Yep.
So can you share, I know you're a chef and, or you're at least a recipe writer. Can you share any fast and easy, but most of all, yummy recipes? Because a lot of the recipes I find online are just not yummy and they have too much shit in them, and I have to, shift around the ingredients and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so I think maybe I can share with the group in the link. First off, there's a really cool recipe guide that we have coming up for the holidays. Actually, we have a holiday paleo recipe guide, which I helped create. We actually had a whole little get together for that. And so I think, that's one area where people really want tasty recipes. It's maybe hard to develop them to make them more paleo. So I think I'll share that with you.
Okay.
But, other than that, one of my favorite dishes is just making I love to have people make salmon. And so having them get creative with their salmon and what they're going to put on it, because a lot of people don't like fish. So I work on with people trying to get that fatty fish in. So one of the easiest things is just putting some grass-fed butter on there, a bunch of fresh herbs and garlic, and baking it. And I've had a lot of people just, that simplicity of salmon, they now love it that way. Or, getting creative, making avocado deviled eggs. That's another recipe that I share with people where we're getting the benefit of the eggs, but we're getting some really good fat in there. That's a good one. Or people are used to like tuna salad. And unfortunately, tuna is not as healthy. So I have them make instead sardine salad, where you get the sardines and you're putting all these different healthy things in to make a nice sardine salad, maybe a lettuce wrap thing, or you put it on some paleo crackers, something like that. So I can try to maybe get some recipes to share with the group as well that are kind of our favorites here at Natural Heart Doctor.
That would be fabulous, because making up my own stuff all the time gets a little scary. I'm not going to lie. Well, here on My Right Stuff, I like to have a little fun by asking, do you have any hidden talents? And can you share them with us?
Yeah. Well, I think maybe talents, hobbies. One of the things that, I like to do is hike. So
okay.
I think like I've hiked the Grand Canyon down and out multiple times, Half Dome in Yosemite. So I think hiking probably, getting back into nature is probably the biggest thing that I focus on and, tell others to do as well. So hiking, surfing, I know how to surf as well.
Wow.
So
Excellent.
those two would probably be my hidden talents. Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next for Ashley?
Well, us coaches at Natural Heart Doctor, we're actually developing some exciting new group coaching programs. We're launching Carnivore, I think, the first week in November. So if anybody wants to join that Carnivore challenge, we can get the info for that. Yes, you.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I was recommended by the doc, so I'm going to have to join.
Yeah, so
I'll
get you the info.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, a lot of really fun things are going to come up, with our group here at Natural Heart Doctor, but really the group coaching is where we're having a lot of fun right now. We're in week 6 of our AFib group coaching and it's going well. And it's just an exciting time. So just developing new programs for, everybody and every condition is really what I'm working on right now.
That's fabulous. So how can people contact you and take advantage of your services?
I think one of the best places to start is if you go to naturalheartdoctor.com. In the upper right-hand corner, it says appointments, and you can scroll down to health coaches. And then we've got an offering for those free 20-minute calls, kind of like a transformation call. If you don't know where to start for your health, you can talk to, myself or one of the other coaches, and we can help you to find kind of the right path. What are the next steps for your health? Maybe it's a diet change, maybe it's supplements, maybe it's advanced lab testing. So we're here to help just about anybody. And again, it's not just limited to heart health, overall health, just making sure people know that, we can get healthy without all the pills and procedures. We just got to know what those steps are to take. So.
Right. And I remember going through those tests, and man, they're really, really like deep diver type tests. I've never seen some of the micronutrients that popped up on these tests. And, they are a little expensive, but I think it's well worth it. Because, I learned so much about my body and how to correct the bad stuff that's going on in my body. And, with you guys' help and guidance, my numbers have improved way better than any person my age. So I'm really proud of myself. And I want to thank you guys for helping me through that.
Yeah. Well, I think, that's such a great thing to share, but I think it's like the data that's also motivating. I know for you too, it's like when you see your kind of baseline markers and then we do all the work and we see how everything's in the green and it's good. So yeah, that's what we love to do. And so I'm glad you've had those amazing results as well. Mm-hmm. So. And
you were going to say?
Well, I was going to say, yeah, the advanced testing, I think it's an exciting thing for me to be able to do and for us to offer to everybody, because again, I told you, the testing is outdated and doctors are just still using all these outdated tests. They're not testing for things that have been known for a while. They should be testing for things like high homocysteine. What are your omega-3 fatty acids? All these different things. Our testing for nutrients, for example, looks at not just the levels in the blood, which is what most doctors test for, and very few nutrients. We look at intracellular levels of your nutrients. So are those nutrients making their way into cells so that they can do their job there? And if not, why? So very advanced testing, like you said, well worth the price to be able to find out what your root causes are and then correct them. And, I think we need the data. So people who do these 20-minute calls with me, I often am kind of telling them what appropriate tests they probably need to get on the right path. So
that's fantastic. Yeah. I was blown away by the whole thing, and it just really, I was skeptical at first because I'm skeptical of everything, but
it's good to be a skeptic. Yeah.
And it really, really, after trusting you guys and going through the whole thing, I was like, man, I've had several tests now. I think it's been a year and a half since I've been with you guys. And I've had 3 or 4 tests, and, I've gradually seen my numbers go boom, boom, boom. And I'm very proud of myself. I do that exercise. I do all the stuff I'm supposedly supposed to do.
Right. We're adjusting
tiring,
supplements, we're adjusting diet, and you're getting all that good lifestyle stuff in. So
exactly.
It pays off. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It really does. And, I just want to talk a little bit about fear because, after a heart attack, I was scared. I'm not going to lie. I was very scared. And then, the regular medical establishment personnel, they made me promise them that I would be on the statins and this and that for a year. And man, I can't tell you the havoc that it wreaked on my body. Right. And it was really bad. And that's why I was seeking out someone, like Dr. Wolfson and yourself, because, there had to be a better way. And now I know there is. And I'm very, very thankful for all of you guys. And please keep up the great work. It's just fabulous.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. And I know I've worked with you a lot too. And, I think that's the biggest thing is that we want to get rid of the fear. Right. And how that happens is with kind of the evidence-based things that we educate on. Like, we're not just telling you to go eat something random or to take a random supplement at a store. We're telling you what you need based on the data. We're testing, not guessing. And then we're correcting it with these kind of proven methods. And it's once you get rid of the fear, it's like freedom from the fear of it. And you can even further your healing process because, now you know that these things work and you don't have to be reliant on, pharma and all of that. So I think it's like an empowering process to go through too, to do all that work and get healthy and then be reliant on kind of nature's medicine and what is natural to us as humans.
Absolutely. And, that just this past year and a half has been incredible for me because it's dispelled all the rumors that I was brought up, that I learned about doctors, pharmaceuticals, et cetera, on down the line. Right. And it just dispelled every single one of them. And I'm very proud to know that, I know you guys and you've helped me so much. I really appreciate it.
Good. Yeah, you're with your like-minded crew. And I think, again, now more than ever, we got to kind of align with the people that share our values and that know, what the truth is. So, yeah, you're with the right crew.
Absolutely. And you've been on My Right Stuff. So, and this has been a very informative and delicious episode. I loved all the insight you shared to help people eat better and stay healthy. And I hope they follow your advice. And I know I will, and I am. And thank you, Ashley, for taking the time to be part of this episode of My Right Stuff.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Do you suffer from insomnia, depression, anxiety? Well, our sponsor, TAUMMHOMS, may be able to assist you in these areas. TAUMMHOMS, a natural sleep and sound healing portal helping people globally to get to sleep faster and stay asleep longer. You can find this piece of gold at TAUMMHOMS.com. That's www.TAUMMHOMS.com. Well, a big thank you to all of you who stream, download, watch, and support My Right Stuff. And please keep spreading the word, my friends. I really, really do appreciate it, and it really does help. Also, we now have a My Right Stuff store where you can pick up some snazzy merch for those lovely bodies. Go to myrightstuff.com and click on the store tab. Don't forget to tag us in any photos with our merch so we can include you in an episode. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as the podcast channel of your choice so you never miss a single episode. Well, this has been another exciting episode of My Right Stuff. Be sure to tune in next week and every week for yet another adventurous and informative show. I'm your host, Lord Toby Wright, and remember to listen loud, play hard, and keep reaching for your dreams. Good night.
Thank you for watching My Right Stuff. This episode was brought to you by TAUMMHOMS, a natural sleep and sound healing portal available globally at www.taumms.com. That's www.taummmhoms.com.